Hey guys, I am Nishant and welcome to Cybernetico. So in this video, we will cover debounce and throttle in our efficient data fetching techniques. So what is debounce and throttle? So these are two techniques to optimize how often we send a request to the backend using an API. So suppose that these are requests that we are having and we are searching for mobile phone into some e-commerce application. So when we have to search for mobile phone, we can type M, then MO, then MOB, then this, then this, then this, then this. Like this is the final input that we have to type for mobile phone. So if I call this function here, and if you see, we are having this debounce function which takes a callback function and one timeout. So we have to return a new function because this instance is getting stored inside this debounce results function, and then we're passing some arguments here to be called here. So let's return a new function. So return function with some arguments, and we can simply just call the callback, which is the console log here with the arguments save. So if I run this, we can see all the requests are getting typed here in the console log, but we don't want that. We only want the last request here, which is mobile phone, because when we type mobile phone and then we wait for 2 seconds, only then this function should run. So let's see how to do that. So in this case, we are having a timeout and we can have a delay here. So we can delay the function by 2 seconds here. So we can make set timeout and we can just pass this timeout here so that we delay it by 2 seconds. But that's not enough, because if I run it again, we can see it is the same as previously, but the delay is of 2 seconds, but that's not useful. So what we need to do is, when we call, let's say, this function, it runs. Then we call this, it runs. So when we call this, we need to cancel this. And then if we call this needs to be cancelled because our typing is not complete. So only after 2 seconds, when our typing is complete, we should search. So in this case, what we have to do is, we have to store this timeout into a variable like its instance. So we can do timer id equals to set timeout, and we have to create it here. So let timer id equals to null. So the reason is this is outside is because we have to create it for only one time and then reuse it. Like we have to add the timer id of set timeout here, and let's say that we ran this function debounce results with M. So timer id is null, and we are storing the current timer id using set timeout. I mean offset timeout. So we are storing the timer id of our current set timeout into this timer id. Now let's say we called this. So we need to cancel this one, correct? So what we will do is we'll just clear the previous timer id. So clear timeout with the timer id. In this case, what will happen is, let's say we called this. In here, this will be null. So this will execute. But let's say our timeout is not complete. Before 2 seconds, we typed another letter, let's say O, which becomes MO here. So in MO, the previous timer ID will be cleared and we will set a new timer ID. Let's say again in another 2 seconds, we typed MOB. In this case, MO will be cancelled because we are clearing it here, the previous iteration of the function call. So to the last here, let's say we typed MOBIL PHONE mobile phone and waited for 2 seconds. Only then this will run. So let's save it and try and see what happens. So if I run this, we can see our last string here called mobile phone, which is final. So this is how we run debouncing in JavaScript. Now let's look at throttling. So in throttling, what happens is, let's say we are typing our search string like MOBILE mobile phone. So let's say we typed M, then we typed MO, then MOB. So in this case, what will happen is, every 1 second, in our case, we will send the request to the backend. So let's say in 1 second, we typed these strings like MOB. So this will be the search string passed in the backend, or in our case in the function. Then let's say one more second pass as we keep typing. So in this case, we will type mobile mobile. This is how throttling works. So let's implement it. Similarly, we will return a new function which will be an anonymous function. So this will take some arguments as well here. Now here outside we have to make a variable here called let should wait. This should be false initially. This means that we have to move forward with the function or we have to wait. So if it is true, we will just return ourselves outside the function call. So if it is true, it means we have to wait. We cannot call the next function. Then after that, we can simply call our function here with our arguments like this. Then we have to set it to false. Then we have to make it true. So in this case, it should know it have to wait. So let me give a space here. So we're returning a new function. If it's true, we can just move outside the function call. So we'll call the function, which is this. We will make should wait to true. Then we can simply have a set timeout here. And we can pass delay. So in this case, here, let's make it to false because when the timeout is complete, let's say 1 second pass, we have to be ready for the next string, which is, let's say, mobile here. So initially it is true. So we call the function, we make it true because we have to wait for the timeout to complete. And when the timeout is complete, we are setting it to false. But that's not enough because we have to get the previous string as well. Like when we typed mo, let's say when we typed m, then we typed o or mo. So this will be the new string. We have to get the previous string as well. So to do that, we have to make one more variable here called last string, or let's say last call, which can be null. And in here, we can just do last call equals to these arguments. We can store the last arguments call in this last call because this is outside the scope of this. And in here, if we have a last call, we can just call the function with the latest arguments, which is this last call. And then we can just make it as null because we have to clear it. So let's run it and see what happens. Node throttle.js. So first we got m because this will be stored here. And then we can get the last, which is mobile phone. So this is how throttling works because this is the default behavior and once 1 second pass, we can see this. So this is how throttling works in JavaScript.